I hope you're all well. Ellen, two things. First of all, welcome, well, three things. Welcome to your first ever Zoom class. Secondly, your room looks immaculate, because if you could see mine right now, it's an absolute tip. And thirdly, if you email info@highlightcrafts.com, we will send you the link to that Zoom class. Not that I've been listening in, but I can hear you before I'm just getting ready. So we will absolutely sort that out for you. If you've ever got any issues like that, please let us know, because then we can make it better for you. So Andrew's put that in the chat for you as well, so that you'll be able to see it. Right. A couple of things just before we start. So today's been one of those days. You know, those days where you wish you should have just stayed in bed. So anything could happen in this class, but we'll try and make it as good as it can be. And secondly, I have a code for you. So we are giving you a special code that has 30% off all Brother accessories apart from the machine, and 30% off the cardstock, the Craftmaster 12x12 cardstock. Now, the Black Friday deal, which is 30% off the whole website, excluding the Brother machine, starts on Thursday night, I think, or Friday morning. So you're getting it early. And it's a really nice chance for you to pick up, you know, extra mats, blades, whatever you're needing, or if you just want to top up on your stash. And 30% is a really nice code, so I'm pleased we've managed to get that for you. It will last for Black Friday. I think it lasts till Monday night at midnight. So yeah, but anything that you've ordered, if anything's out of stock, we will absolutely, if you order it and put it in your basket, we'll make sure that we've got it for you. Right, so let's get started. So what we're going to do, I decided this month, and if you've missed the first three classes, you can catch them up on our YouTube channel. So Highlight Crafts, if you go to YouTube and just type in Highlight Crafts, it will come up as our YouTube channel. So you can watch the first three if you've missed them before. But I designed this morning because I thought, you know, we're coming up to Christmas. I'm very aware that there is millions of rolls of wrapping paper sold in this country, and a lot of it isn't recyclable. So I'm going to do all my wrapping, in fact I have done for the last 2 years, with craft paper, because it is recyclable, but it always looks a bit flat. So I've made this lovely little rosette that you could put on, instead of a big bow or anything like that. This little rosette looks quite nice. And then you could have strips coming out across the present if you wanted to make it look like it's been wrapped and sealed with the rosette. Now, because we're working on the CM machine, I am going to work with what they consider the lowest spec machine. So the CM 300, which is the same machine as the CM 600. And on that machine, it doesn't have a perforation line, and we need a perforation line to make the scores for the rosette. So I'm going to take you into Canvas Workspace. Now, don't let that make you scared, because if someone had sat there, 7 years ago and said, I'm going to take you into Canvas Workspace, I'd have gone, no, not ready for that yet. But it is really intuitive. I would recommend that you set up an account. It's free, completely free. They just ask for a username and a password, and it will take you on a more extensive journey as we go through these classes. However, I'm not going to do it every month. This is so that we can create a perforation line for you, so that you all have one. So that when we come to do other stuff, I can say, you know, bring on the perforation line that we created in class 4, which is good. So we're going to start at the beginning, and fingers crossed everything goes well, because we've just done the SDX class and everything that could go wrong went wrong, and it's been one of those days. So let's just be positive, put my positive head on Melanie, then I can go and sit in a dark room and rock for a little while after I finish this one. So the first thing we're going to do is go into Canvas Workspace. Now, there are two versions of that product. One is a web app, which you do not download, you use online. And then there is another one that you can download to your PC. As a beginner, I would absolutely advise, if you're going to learn Canvas, learn it with the web app, because every time you hover over an icon, it tells you what it is. The downloadable version is more like a traditional graphics program with all the drop-down menus, and it's a little bit more difficult to navigate, and it doesn't tell you what's behind all those drop-downs. So when you've created an account and you log in, this is what it will look like. And to find it, just search Canvas Workspace Canvas Workspace or ScanNCut Canvas Workspace, and it will talk you through that process. It's super simple. If I can do it, you can do it. So you will see this when you've opened up and you've typed in your details. So we're going to go into New, first of all. And at the top, there is a little, it's like 3 circles with a zigzag joining them together. And when you hover over it, it says Path, okay? So you're going to left click on your mouse on that, and then you're going to bring your cursor over to the side of the screen. Now I use the red dotted line that is around the mat or inside the mat on Canvas Workspace. And then you're going to left click, so this little dot appears, and you're going to drag your mat to create a straight line. And I'm using that perforation line to make sure that it is straight. Okay, so I need it to be absolutely bang on perfect. And when I've got it to a straight line, I can see that the red perforations are all lined up. You let go and then you double left click and it brings it down to a smaller line. You will also see at the bottom of your screen, it's telling me it's 84 millimeters high, but there is no width measurement. That's exactly what you want. If you've got a width measurement, it means that your line isn't perfectly straight because it's then measuring it as an angle. So it will give you a width measurement there. Don't forget, you don't need to remember any of this because you can watch this class back. So tomorrow our lovely Andrew is going to upload it onto our YouTube channel. So please don't think I'm never going to remember all this. You can just sit back and watch, and then you can watch it back at any time, which if everything goes wrong that it did in the first one will be quite funny. So all I'm going to do now is click over here. All right, so I'm going to click on that line. She says, I'm going to grab the line, and it's a little bit trickier to grab a line because it's a line, and I'm going to move it away from the edge, and then I'm going to left click off it, and you can see now I've got a straight line. So to select that again, because it is a little bit tricky to click on it, you can see I need that symbol, I need that cross. If you struggle to get that cross and you're getting frustrated, just come away, left click on your mouse and drag a box around it and it highlights it. Now we're going to go into this box, which is Show Properties. So it's a rectangle with 3 horizontal lines in the middle of it. And we're going to click on Show Properties, and we're going to set it as a cutting line. There, like that. And then we're going to go down to the dash pattern box at the bottom. And if it's got a little arrow at the right hand side, it means there's a drop down menu. So we're going to click on that, and it brings up all these different perforation lines. Okay, and we're going to choose the 4th one down from the top. So we're going to choose this one, and we're going to click on that, and then when I do that, it's now a perforation line, which is super cool. So what I'm going to do now is drag a box around this. I'm going to close that box because we're finished with that, and we're going to download it. All right, so we're going to download it. If you are working on a CM900 and you have connected it to your Wi-Fi, you can ScanNCut transfer it to your machine. However, I'm not, so we're going to download it to the PC, and this is where it could go horribly wrong, okay? So you can see here now it says Open File. So we'll try this and see if it works, and if not, oh, what am I doing here, Andrew? It won't let me click OK. Untick the box. Still won't let me click OK. Right, so I'm going to close Canvas down. Oh, F11 on the keyboard. See, this is how technically challenged I am. I have no idea. No, it's not done anything, Andrew. See, I've got my little whiz. Oh. So what do I do now? I want to close it. I want to close the whole thing. and go to my downloads in my computer. Sorry about this, guys. You know when I say, oh, there we go. That's it. Oh, apparently I clicked open file and I need to click the folder. So I'm going to go to PC. You know when I say I don't do technology? Now you know I don't do technology, because I'm like, this is ridiculous. Right, so I've got into my downloads, and here it's called Untitled to FCM. FCM is the file format that ScanNCut uses when it exports a file. So I'm going to right click this, and I'm going to send to, and I'm going to send it to the USB drive. Okay, so we'll just go through that again. So you go from Canvas into your downloads, you click on, right click on the file, and you go to send to, you then go across and you go down to the USB drive, you click that and it will send it to the USB with a bit of luck. So let's see if it's worked. So I'm just going to go back to the USB now, and I am going to right click on here, and I'm going to eject it correctly, because that's what you're supposed to do. Sometimes I do, most of the time I don't. I'm really naughty, I just normally just pull it out of the machine. I know, but I'm a busy woman. Right, so we've now got our perforation line. So we are going to now make our own rosettes, which is super exciting. Fingers crossed it's on the USB. So to access the USB, you go to Pattern and Save Data, and the universal symbol for the USB is right there. So let's see if it's here. There it is. There's my perforation line. Oh, it worked. Right, so I'm going to press OK, and I am just going to, now it's really difficult to get hold of the perforation line, so just be a little bit patient. I'm working side on, which is why it's difficult. If you find that it's really difficult, use your directional arrow buttons, okay, because it will then move it for you. So the first thing we're going to do, and you will need a pen and paper, which I should have told you at the beginning, so I'm going to give you a couple of minutes just to grab a pen and paper. I don't know if you're anything like it is in my house, but I am a crafter through and through, and there is probably craft in every room in the house apart from the bathroom, and I can never find a pen and a piece of paper when I need one. We've got a quick question while you're looking for a pen and paper from Carol. Right, can you make a light perforation? Well, the way that you do that is by dropping the pressure down and your blade depth down. So you drop the blade depth right down to a lower setting and the pressure down to a negative setting, and then it will just do the top of the cardstock. So that's how it will work. It's all done with that blade and that housing, because you're in control of it, so you can drop it down. And you are on an SDX, because although it's an auto blade, you can still adjust the settings. And interestingly, they've added more cut depths to it, so you can make it a lighter cut on there as well. But yeah, that's how I would do it. I would just drop my blade right down and adjust the pressure. And I also do that when I'm scoring with a straight line as well. And we'll do more of that as we go through the classes and we start making boxes and stuff like that. Right, so the size that you want for your perforation line is 42 millimeters high. So we're going to go to our resize box, and we're just going to press the minus on here till we get to 42 millimeters, okay? So pink rosette, because that's the colour I've done it in, 42 millimeters high for that perforation line. And now you've got a perforation line, unless you're going much, much bigger with it, you can use that one, because the more you expand a perforation line, the lines get wider. If you're going to want to do a longer one, I would do it in Canvas Workspace and make it that length to start with. So really drag that line out, because it shrinks back. So really drag the line out, and then you're not adjusting it too far, because you don't want that, because then it doesn't look very nice at all. Right, the next thing we need is we need 29 of them. Okay, so in the number at the bottom, and this is the only thing that I would change about ScanNCut, whether any model, is instead of putting number, I would make that quantity. Because for me, a number is a number, a quantity is an amount. So that's just something for you to note. And I'm just going to press 20, so we go up to 29, okay? Okay, so I've now got 29. When I press OK, it puts them all in a diagonal line. Thank goodness, Brother saw fit to give us an arrangement function, otherwise that would drive you crazy. So I'm going to press OK, and we're going to go into, now I've got to remember where that arrangement function is, here, because I've been working on an SDX switching back to a CM. I can't remember where things are. Now, to be able to do this, you need to go into this spanner that is on the front of your machine, and you're going to click on the spanner like that, and you're going to go down to page 3 of 6 here, and your pattern interval will be set on 1 unless you've ever changed it. The pattern interval is the distance between the shapes that the machine sets. So number 1 is as close as it can be. Number 2 is a little bit wider as you go up in the numbers. So we want a little bit of a distance between our perforation lines so that when we fold it, it creates that nice concertina. So we're going to put our pattern interval to 3, okay? And then when we press OK, and we go to our arrangement function here, we have 3 options. The top option will rotate those shapes or those lines any which way it needs to get the most out of your cardstock. Now that doesn't really apply to a line because it's not having to change it, because it's not cutting out of your cardstock, it's cutting into it. The middle one will rotate a shape up to 180 degrees to make it fit better. But the bottom option puts everything in a straight line. So that's the one that we're going to use for our perforation lines, and it lines them all up like a little row of soldiers, which is great. So the next thing we need to do is group those together. Okay, so we're moving it then as one piece. So to do that, we press OK, and we go back into this button here at the top that accesses other screens. And you'll see that the one on the right hand side has a red box around it, it's selected. So here, a little single red square has the word select by the side of it. It means that one part is selected. To multiple select, we click on multiple red squares. So we multiple select, we want all of the parts, so we click everything on the mat, we press OK, and then we group them together. So right next to the OK is a button that has 2 shapes with one red select box around it. That's group, okay? So we're going to group that together. So we've now got our perforation lines, but they're cutting into the card. We need them to be able to cut out of the card. So we need to add a shape that goes around the outside edge. So we're going to press OK, and we're going to add, and we're going to go into our basic shapes. So we're going to click on there, and we're going to select the square, and we're just going to set it on the mat. Okay, so we press set, and it's going to put that square on there. When we go back into that screen, that square will be selected for you because it's the last shape that you've put onto your mat. And we're going to go into our resize button, which is this one here. And we are going to separate the height from the width. So we're going to change the height and the width independently because we need to change that square into a rectangle, and a long, thin rectangle. So this is your unlock aspect ratio. A box of chocolates unlocks my aspect ratio. It makes me wider than I am taller. So, but I like this one better because it doesn't happen. Right, so we're going to make the height of the rectangle. So you need to write this measurement down. Now, I'm going to tell you first why. The perforations are 42 millimeters high. We need to always think when we're using a perforation line that we don't want it to touch the top and the bottom of the shape that they're going to be put inside of. Because if they touch the top and the bottom edge, it's going to do exactly what it says on the tin, and it will perforate. And we don't want it to do that. We want to use it as that fold line. So we're going to make the rectangle 46 millimeters high. So 2 mil at the top, 2 mil at the bottom, bigger than the perforation. So 46 millimeters high by 292 millimeters wide. So 292 millimeters wide, okay? So we've got the unlock with the aspect ratio unlocked. It will light up purple. We're going to make that 46 just by pressing the minus. There we go. And then we're going to make it 292 wide. Now on the CM machine, when the rectangle hits the side of the mat, it stops. So you have to move it to the center to then be able to make it wider again, okay? It's just one of those things that we have to do. Now, we might have to settle for 291 on here, but let's see. Can you see there's still some width there, so I can still make that happen. So to move it more precisely, I'm going to go into my directional arrows and I'm going to move this across. And now I'm going to go back into resize, select the aspect ratio again and see if I can get it to 292, which I can. So rather than just trying to move it, because it's such a small movement, you're better using your directional arrows. Right, so now what I need to do is put that inside of there. Okay, so we do the same thing that we did before. Press OK. We multiple select everything on the mat. If I had £1 for every time I said that, I would be a multi-millionaire by now. And my producer Andrew, who used to produce at the old Create and Craft, said, me too, because I say it all the time. But it means that your scan and cut is repetitive. And you know what? Repetition is the mother of all skill, allegedly. So the more you do it, the better you remember it. So I've selected both. I'm going to press OK. And we're going to go back into our directional arrow buttons here now. We're going to click on that. And at the top, there is this symbol. If it isn't on your machine, it means you've literally just got it out of the box and you haven't updated it. Because if you've never, ever got your scan and cut out of the box, and I'm not going to give you the look because now we're doing classes and you're on it, so you're ready, you're on the journey, so I forgive you. An update is done via Brother Solutions Centre UK. Andrew will put that in the chat for you. So Brother Solutions Centre UK. You will need a blank compatible USB stick. We sell them on Highlight Crafts, so you'll be able to get one with your 30% discount, which is brilliant. And once you go there, you go to downloads and it will talk you through the process. So you choose which machine you've got, because there's sewing machines, embroidery machines, printers, all the rest of it. You'll choose the cutting machine, you'll tell it which model you've got, you'll tell it whether we're working on Windows or Mac, and it will then talk you through that download process. And it will tell you exactly what to do. So you will then end up with that symbol on your machine. So it's not that it's on some models and not others, it's available for all of them. And it's called alignment. So when I click on my alignment function, these symbols come up. Wherever the straight line is, so left, right, top, bottom, center, and middle, that's where it's going to align your shapes to. So we want to align them centrally vertically and centrally horizontally, so it puts the perforation lines inside that rectangle. We then press OK and we keep going until we get to group, and we group it again. And then you cut 2 of them out, okay? So you need 2 to make the smaller rosette. Okay, so we've got to that bit now. So now I'm going to show you how to make the rosette itself. So you will end up with 2. And they will be flat, so I'll just bring in a white one that we're going to do later on and show you. And you will have all your perforation lines going across here. You'll have a smaller space between the left-hand side and the first perforation line, and a smaller gap between the last perforation line and the right-hand side of right-hand edge of that piece, because this is the bit that we created with the rectangle. Okay, we couldn't go any wider. We don't need to, it doesn't matter. And you're going to start at one end and you're going to do a mounting fold first of all. So that perforation line points up, and then your next one goes into a valley, and you work your way along like this, all the way along. And it won't split, and you don't need to burnish it, because if you're, well, it depends what weight card you're using. If you're going to use the Craftmaster 12x12 and get that 30% discount, it's a 216 GSM card. It's exactly the same as the one that we used previously. And it's a really good quality card for your scan and cut. You don't need to then burnish the perforations, and it will sit perfectly evenly together. So if I just show you that bit, it all lines up perfectly together, okay? If you're using a thicker card, I would use my scraper or my spatula that I got with my machine and just burnish those down, and it won't split because you haven't gone right towards the edge. So once you've done that with both pieces, because I asked you to cut 2, you're going to then glue these together. But if I do that, you will see that small bit won't fit perfectly over there and it doesn't look very neat. So you're going to do the following. On the one that's on the right hand side here, so line them up in a row like that, you're going to take a pair of scissors and you're going to cut along that first perforation line and get rid of that small rectangle, okay? So let me just make sure I'm doing this right. Yes, I am, because it really has been one of those days. And we're going to cut up that perforation line and get rid of that, okay? So now our first rectangle goes down towards the bottom of the table. And then on this side, we need to get rid of the one on the right and the one next to it. And because you've got a perforation line, your scissors, you'll feel it cut. It's like you're cutting with pinking shears because it's got that cut in it already. And try and make sure that you follow that perforation line, because then you'll end up with a really nice, neat rosette. And I'm actually struggling to see this at the moment because I need to get my eyes tested, but I can feel it. I can feel it there, okay? So we're going to cut that off. And we're going to glue underneath here, so the one on the left, we're going to glue underneath there and we're going to stick it to that. So I'm going to turn this over and I am going to put some glue on here. And with this bookbinding glue from Pinflair, it has a really thin nozzle. This is the glue that you'll see me use all the time. If you remember to put your lid on, it doesn't block. If you don't, you will get a skin form over the top. So don't go poking in it with a pokey tool. Just get a pair of tweezers or a pin and just bring out that little bit of glue that's just started to dry on the top. And then you will get a really nice thin layer. The less of this glue you use, the better, okay? Because it has a really low water content. It dries very quickly, so you don't need to put loads on because all you're doing is wasting your glue. Okay, so I'm going to just hold that firmly, and then you'll see that we then have, and you can put it back into place, we will then have a continual perforation that goes right the way across that band. Right, so what we need to do now is join these two together. So we're going to have it laid this way like this, and the right hand side we're going to bring over and we're going to do exactly what we did before. We're going to cut off that single rectangle like that. Okay, and once you've done this once you've made this rosette, you can just resize it if you want another one. But it's a really cool thing to do on your ScanNCut because there isn't a rosette file on there, but we can make our own. And this is the thing, you know, the more you use it, the more you understand how it thinks, and the more you come on these classes and I teach you, the more you'll get out of your ScanNCut and the more fun it becomes. Because it's not just about cutting basic shapes. There's so much you can do with this machine. It's brilliant. And we'll carry on with these lessons for as long as we need to until I run out of things to teach you. So I've got my right hand side and my left hand side. I'm going to put glue underneath this part of the left like we did before. And also next year, which is very exciting, we are having our training academy open, which will be hopefully the end of March. We're waiting for the new warehouse to be built so that we can move the existing warehouse into there, and then we can have the training school in the warehouse that we've got now, and it's going to be fabulous. And we'll be able to do face-to-face ScanNCut classes and retreats. How exciting will that be? You'll be able to come from anything from a day to a week. Imagine that. That'd be great fun. Right, so I've now got my rosette, okay? So I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the red one. So I'm going to do the same thing again so that you can see how easy it is to cut. I'm going to pull the right one out and I'm going to snip off that first rectangle. I'm then going to open the other one, make sure that because the cardstock is textured on one side and smooth on the other. I'm going to cut off the small one, the narrower one, and the first full one. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing again, going up here like this. Okay, so let's do that. And then I'm going to put glue on the back of there and stick it to that one. Super simple. And you'll start walking around the world looking at life and going, oh, that's a shape. I can make that on my ScanNCut. Oh, I can do that. You'll walk in places, you know, where they sell home goods and you'll be like, oh, I can do that on my ScanNCut. I don't need to buy that anymore. It's brilliant. Honestly, it's brilliant. And I will teach you everything that I know. Right, so we turn it over, remember? And now we've got a right hand and a left hand side. So we're going to cut along the perforation, the single one, the first one, on our right hand side. And then we're going to open up the left hand side and we're going to cut on that second perforation line in from the left. So we're just going to snip up there, like that. You can probably hear that. You can hear the scissors going from one bit to the next. And then when we turn it over, we put glue underneath here, like that. And we do that and we glue that together. Right, this is where the hot glue comes in. And you need to use hot glue for this bit because you need an instant grab. So the next thing next size I'm going to give you is for a circle, okay? And the circle, we need 2 of them. One to go for the rosette to sit on top of, and then one to seal the rosette once we've put the pink one on top. And both of those circles are going to be 48 millimeters, okay? So to do that, and I'm sure most of you know this, but we might have people who have never had it out of the box before, you go to Pattern, Basic Shapes, on page 3 in the bottom right hand corner, that's how sad I am, I know where the shapes are, there is a circle. You can also resize here, so we can take it down to 48, it could be 50 if you wanted it to be, it's just like that, and then we're going to ask it to do 2 and we're going to set them on the mat. Now, you will notice on here, the distance between those 2 is wider than it would normally be. And that's because you've still got your pattern interval set at 3. So to change it back, you go into the spanner, you go down to page 3, you use the left-hand arrow to make it down to 1 and you press OK. And then when you go back into your arrangement function and back to the bottom, it will put them much closer. We're going to do more work with the pattern interval in a up-and-coming class because it's really good for making stencils or embossing files that you can put through your die cutting machine and it will emboss your card. So we'll do more of that, but for now, that's what we need to do. Right, so glue gun. I forgot to charge my kit and caboodle one, so I'm having to use one that's got wires, so bear with. So we're going to put a decent amount of glue onto this circle in the middle. Okay, so just put it in the middle. You don't need it all the way around the edge, and just be aware that this is super hot. Okay, don't want anybody burning themselves. So you're then going to position your rosette around the circle, try and get it central, and then you're just going to push it in like that. And you don't want it really tight in the middle. You probably want it to be, I would say that is probably about 1.5 centimeters width on that circle, because we're making a double rosette and we need the rosette, the pink rosette, to sit on top of this one and slot in. So I'm making sure that I've got a nice equal distance while I push it into that glue. You can't do this with any other glue really, unless you're prepared to sit there for a while and hold it, or put a book on top of it, whichever, but that can be a little bit tricky in itself. So we're going to press this down. Okay, and now that hot glue will hold it. We're now going to take our pink one and we're going to push this in like this. This is where it could all go horribly wrong. We're going to grab it like that and we're going to put it on top of the red one, okay? Right, we need each one of these little V's to sit over the little V's on the red one, and this is where it's a little bit fiddly. And if you just want to do one rosette rather than a double one, that's fine. You know, you'll just get a different look. But I like the fact, I like it. Mainly because it'll do isn't in my vocabulary. That'll do. That's not, especially, well, it is. kind of with ironing and washing and stuff like that. But when it comes to crafting, I'm one of those people that has to make it perfect. So I'm working my way around. I'm keeping my hand on this side and I'm holding this in place. And I'm working round like this, and I'm just making sure that each one of these pink pieces goes over a red piece, okay? That has missed one there, so I'm going to go pull that up. And you can see this cardstock will take quite a little bit of manipulation. And this is another reason why we don't take that perforation line right to the edge, because if it was, it would have split by now. And I'm just working my way around. And it is a little bit fiddly. I'm not going to tell you it's not, because it is. But it's worth it in the end. I think so anyway. Right, so come on. And you could do these, you know. So when you're wrapping your presents, just while I'm fiddling around with this, you could put a magnet underneath the wrapping paper. And then you could put a magnet on the back of here. So the recipient next year can then use it as a Christmas ornament. That would be quite a nice thing to do, I think. Right, I'm nearly there. And it wants to pull out against itself. So I'm just going to force it into that gap, okay? And it's where the double one is that it gets a little bit troublesome, but you'll get there. I would spend a whole hour doing this. I might curse a little bit. And the air might turn a little bit blue. But I would make sure it was done properly, as I'm sure you will too. Right, so this last little bit here, and then we're in. We're in. Now, you need to just push in now from the outside. So you want to force it, so pull it towards you and push it in from the outside edge, okay, and get it in so you've got that nice red edge around the outside, okay? So we're just now going in and we're just pushing that pink rosette into the middle, and it won't go right to the middle, so please don't expect it to meet the red around the circle in the centre, because it won't, because it's too tight, but you will end up with a perfect red around the outside. Now, that for me is worth 5 minutes of messing about, because I think that looks really lovely, and it's just got that really fine edge. And the thinner a matten layer is, whether it's here or whether it's on a card or a scrapbook page, the narrower it is, the more elegant it looks and grown up. The wider it is, the more childlike it becomes, because it's thicker and chunkier. So it's a good tip for crafting all around that, thinking about your mats and your layers. Right, so I am now going to put glue onto the rosette, and I'm going around the outside of where that pink rosette is in the middle, and then I'm going to position my circle over the top, and I'm going to try and get it central, because you might not see it all, but you will see a little bit of it. Okay, so we've now got our first rosette, and that was pretty painless, I think. Right, our second rosette is going to be white and green. So the white one is going to go on top. So I've got a complete rosette there that I've just made. I'm going to make another complete one and sit this one on top of the green and white one. And the reason that I didn't try and slot this into the white and green one is because that would have been far too tricky. And it would have made it really bulky and really chunky. And I needed to stabilise this one, because otherwise I'm holding one that isn't glued and trying to stick it onto another one that isn't glued onto one that is. And that would have just been a pain in the neck. So, nearly said something else then, but I said pain in the neck. So now make one with white and one with green. So your sizes are, the only thing that's going to change is the height, remember, of that perforated rectangle. So your white one is going to be 60 millimetres high. So you're going to unlock the aspect ratio again, separate that height and width, and you're going to make it 60. And you're going to cut 2 of those out of white and cut it in exactly the same places as we did the red and the pink, and go through that same process. Then you're going to do the green rosette. So you're going to use that same file that we created at the beginning, and you're going to make it 65 millimetres high. And that will give you that lovely edge again around the edge of the white. And you're going to repeat that. And then all you do is glue the 2 circles together. So you've got this circle under here that we made originally. That's going to sit onto the green circle that will be on top of that rosette that you've just created with the white and green. So your 2 circles will glue together, and then you get this lovely double layer. And do you know what? This is really nice. If you do lots of them and they get smaller, eventually they look like a Christmas tree. They're really cool. It looks really fun. But I just think it's lovely as a place setting, I think, you know, as on your Christmas table with somebody's name on. Right, so once you've done that bit, we need to do the wording now. It's different on a CM machine than it is on an SDX because we have to go back into Canvas Workspace to be able to create the offset lines, because there is an offset line built into the SDX and there isn't on the CM. And the offset line that's in Canvas Workspace is a little bit different to the offset that's on the SDX. So I'm going to show you this way. Yours will look slightly different to mine when it's finished because of this, but it still looks great. So, you know, Workspace. There we go. Right, so I'm going to stay logged in and log into here. Right. When you open Canvas Workspace, this will appear. The PC version of Canvas Workspace has been upgraded. You can download it, okay, and you can use that, but I would absolutely advise you to learn on the original one, the web app, because it is simpler. When they do an update on Canvas Workspace, you don't need to do anything. It automatically does it, okay? So I'm going to close that and we're going to go back into here. Now I'm going to find the word first and then I can put it onto my USB stick. So if you look at the one that I've done, you've got the word Noel and then you've got a red matte layer underneath. It looks pink because I've sprayed it, but it's red, and then it's got a white one underneath that. And you will notice that there is where the O comes round here. When I've done the offset line on the SDX, it's created this aperture here. You won't get that in Canvas. It will look different. It still looks lovely, but it will look different. So don't think that you're doing anything wrong. It's just the way that the offset works on the SDX compared to the offset in Canvas. And I am going to speak to Brother and see if they can adjust it, because yeah, I'm just going to speak to them. They might say no, but you know what? If you don't ask, you don't get. So to get the Noel, we're going to go into pattern and into these words and phrases here. And we're going to scroll down until we get to the ends, because they're all in alphabetical order. And there we are, N for Noel. Okay, so we've now got Noel there. We want the Noel to be 47 millimeters high. So we're going to just make it 47 here. And that will make it 101 millimeters wide. You will notice that the aspect ratio button is greyed out. That's because it's not available on this shape. So you can't make that Noel wider independently of making it taller, and it's the same on the SDX, it's no different. So that's, if anything's greyed out, it means it can't do it on that shape. So I'm going to set that on the mat and I'm going to save it onto my USB. So I'm going to save onto the USB. It will give me a file number, so it's telling me it's number 1 FCM. Now, why is it number 1 when previously I had 259? When you save things onto a USB, if you then delete them off, it doesn't give you that, it gives you that space back and it gives you the number back. When you do it on so if you save that to the machine's memory, it gives you the space back, but it doesn't give you the number back. So always make a note of the file name so that when you open it in Canvas, you know which file it is, okay? So I'm going to press OK now. I'm going to take my USB out of my ScanNCut and I'm going to plug it into my computer. Well, Works computer. This isn't mine. Which is why I'm like, what do I do now, Andrew? Because it looks different. Honestly, you know, people say to me all the time, oh, you are technical. You just say that on TV. And I'm like, no, I don't. I really am technically challenged. But I teach the way that I learn. So if I want to do something, I'll learn the next bit that I need to learn to be able to do the next bit that I want to do. And that's how I teach. So if you've any feedback, good or bad, please let me know, because, you know, I'm not easily offended. I've got broad shoulders. You have to have in this business, let me tell you. Right, so SVG, we go at the top because we're going to import the file. Go to choose file and it will open up your computer. And your USB is already highlighted because we've used it before. And there is number 1, FCM, which is the file that it says it's saved Noel as. So let's see. So we go double click and then press OK on here. And there is the Noel. So even if you haven't got a Wi-Fi enabled machine, you can still send it to Canvas Workspace. It takes a little bit longer, but who cares, because you can still do it. Now, the thing is, all these pop-ups that appear, that drives me crazy. This is why I don't do it. It drives me nuts. Right, so when you send this shape on the machine, you can't ungroup. But when you send it into Canvas Workspace, it allows you to ungroup it, okay? So we're going to do that so that we can at least get something inside the E that looks like a mat and layer. So I'm going to go to Edit at the top, and under Group, you've got Group, and then if you hover over this one, you've got Ungroup. Now, Group isn't highlighted because it's already grouped. So we ungroup it, and you tap the screen, and you'll then see that you've got the outside edge, and I'm just going to move it to show you, and then you've got that little aperture in the middle. Don't ever worry about moving something like that, because in Canvas there is a button that will become your best friend, because it's my best friend, and it's called Undo, and you just put it back to where it was. I can't tell you how invaluable that is. So if you want to, and I would advise you do this, drag a box around both of them, go to Edit and duplicate it. Okay, so you've got 2 of them. I'm going to move one of them over there. I'm going to save that for later on. So I'm going to come back to this one and I'm going to highlight it. Now it will always, when the ScanNCut sees something, and this is a really valuable lesson to learn, it doesn't see the Noel the way that we see it. It doesn't see it with that little bit inside the E cut out. It sees that it's sat underneath it or on top of it. It looks at it as a pile, okay? And this is something that when we go on to more advanced stuff becomes crucial. So when I highlight this, if I try and get to the E now, that little bit in the middle, it won't let me because this word is sat on top of it. So we're going to deal with this part first, and then I'll show you how you get to the small bit that's inside the E. So we're going to go to Edit, and we're going to go to this button, which is when you hover over it, it's in Edit, it's in the box named Edit here. And when you hover over it, it says Create Offset Line. So we're going to click on there, and we're going to create a 2mm, so spacing here. You're just going to click 2mm outward, because we want it to be bigger, because it's going to sit on top of, the original word's going to sit on top of this layer, outward. And the reason that I duplicated the first one is so that in options, I can delete the original, okay? So selected original line, you can leave it as it is, you can delete it, or you can set it as a drawing line. And by deleting it, it means that I've got less lines to deal with when I go back and get to that little part inside the E, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'm going to delete the original one and press OK. So now what I've got is that bigger shape on the outside, so my matte layer, and I've also still got the little E bit there, okay? So I'm going to click on that, and it's put it on top of that little piece that's inside the E. So to send it to the back, you go to Edit, and you go to Order here, and you use the option right on the right hand side, which is Send to Back, not send backwards, but send to back. And that will send it right to the back, and it will look like nothing's changed on your mat. But when you then hover over that little bit that's inside the E and click on it, it selects it, because now it's put that on top of that other layer, but it's still a pile, okay? So I want to create an inward offset line of this because I want this bit's bigger, but I want this bit smaller so that it sits inside the original. So I go back to edit and I go back to my offset lines, and this time I create a 2mm inward offset line and we delete the original. So when I press OK now, I've got that small bit there. So I'm going to drag a box around that and I'm going to duplicate that. So I'm going to go to edit and cut, copy, paste at the top. The symbol on the right is duplicate, and then I'm going to move that one over there. Okay, so I've now got my original one and I've also got this one. So this time we're going to click on this. We're going to go to edit and we're going to create another offset line. Now on the SDX you can do it in 1/4 inch increments. I had to think about that then. On here you can just do it in full increments. So I'm going to do, let's do another 2mm one for this. So we're going to go 2mm outward, delete the original because we've duplicated it, and press OK. And then I'm going to click on that. I'm going to send that to the back. So I'm going to go to edit, order, and send to the back. And then I can click on that little bit in the middle and I can create another inward offset line. Now this time it's going to look just like a little cut. So it may be that when we download it, it says that some parts will be removed because it's not big enough for the machine to cut, but we'll see when we do it. It's always worth trying it because it will always tell you it can't if it can't, okay? So it won't let you do anything by mistake. So if I go to edit, offset line, 2mm. Now if you get to 3mm, just click further down. If it won't do it, click off, click further up, and then click back further down. And then go inward, deleting the original, and press OK. So now I've got my 3 layers. So the next thing you need to do is group all these together because we're then going to download them. And if you don't group them now, when you move them to cut them, you'll have to then undo it and then group it. So the easiest way to do it is to left click on your mouse and drag a box around that so it picks up both pieces. Go to edit and group. Then go to your original, drag a box around that, go to edit and group that, and then go to here, grab that, go to edit and group. Now, when I first found out that Canvas Workspace was coming out, I sat there and I dug my heels in like the stubborn little redhead I can be. And went, I am never, ever, ever, ever doing Canvas Workspace. I don't want to do it. I know I won't be able to. I don't like it. I don't want to sit in front of the computer. I had a proper strop, like my little granddaughter used to have when she was 4. And then one Saturday afternoon, it was pouring down with rain. There was nothing on telly, and I thought, do you know what? It's part of your job, so get your big girl pants on and have a go. And I absolutely love it. I can't even tell you how often I use Canvas. I design stencils on it from basic shapes, and I will take you on that journey. And it might take you a little while to remember it all, but these classes and being able to watch them back will be invaluable. There is also a USB available that teaches you everything I've learnt so far in Canvas. So if that's something that when you're going forward, you want to really get into, honestly, it's amazing. I can sit there and go, right, I'm doing this project, I want a stencil to match it, and I can make it happen. It is blinking brilliant, but it's really easy to navigate. So that is your choice. When you're downloading something, you need to make sure that all the pieces are within this space of the mat, so within this red perforation line that you'll see on your screen when you go into Canvas. So I'm going to download it, and I'm going to download it to PC, and this time I'm going to click on the folder and see if that makes any difference. So I'm going to click on this bit here. Is that how I do it, Andrew? Right, click on the folder. Ah, look, it works! Yee-hee! See, I've learnt something now. Honestly. And if you think I'm just pretending, I'm not pretending. I promise you, I am not pretending. This is my life. We have a fabulous tech guy in our office called Sean. And if I go, Sean, he puts his head in his hands and goes, what? He's brilliant with everybody else, but with me it's like, what? So I'm going to right click and I'm going to send to, and I'm going to go to the USB. And I should imagine most of you watching this are going, yeah, we knew that, Mel. Good, I'm glad, but I didn't. So now I'm going to go on to the USB drive, right click and eject it correctly. And then I'm going to take it out the computer, out the pooter, and put it back into my ScanNCut. So now what you're going to do is recall that file. So we are going to go to pattern, save data, and into the USB. And I'm going to scroll down. Oh, no, there it is. No, what did I want? Noel. No, it's not. Keep going until I get to the one that's got 3 of them on, which is, with a bit of luck, right there. There you go. So I've got my original, my first matte layer, and my second matte layer. So it's doable. I don't think there is anything, unless it's an increment measurement, like being able to do things in 1/4 inches or for the offset line, that you can't do with your CM and canvas that you can do with an SDX, okay? So people say to me all the time, do I need to update? No, you don't need to. You can if you want to, but you don't need to, because we will always make sure that any USBs are compatible with both machines. And if they're not, we'll do a version for CM and we'll do a version for SDX, because I know there are tens of thousands of you out there, including me, that owns the CM machines and loves using them. So that's the way it's going to be, okay? Right, so you're then going to cut out your original one out of pink or whatever colour you choose to do it in. Your next layer I've done out of red, and your next one out of white, okay? So there's no sizes for you apart from the original. You create the other layers yourself. Now then, I'm just going to have a quick look. We're at 8 o'clock. Right. I would love to show you how to make this little holly sprig, because this is from the SDX, so there are more shapes in the SDX than there are on the CM, but we are at 8 o'clock and I am very aware that the park that we're on shuts the gates in about 15 minutes time. So if it's okay with you guys, tomorrow morning I'm going to come in and I'm going to show you how you can take the holly leaf that is in the CM machine and transform it into a sprig that looks a little bit like that. And then we will post that with this video in the same place on YouTube tomorrow, okay? Because I think it's really important that I show you this. And the class has gone a little bit longer because I've had to show you canvas. So I'm hoping that that's okay with everybody, but I promise you it will be up there tomorrow. And as a little treat, because I've worked something out today. Well, I worked it out a while ago, but I've managed to actually get it done today. If you're somebody that has ever bought into the 2 Red Robins USBs, you will see that as well as the reflections, there is a detailed cut. And we always talk about how we can foil it or emboss it. So I want to teach you how you can do this without needing the foiling kit, just by buying a universal pen holder and a glue pen, the Brother glue pen, please, not the other one because it has a better flow, and foil, and then cut out your reflections. And I really want to share this with you, so that's going to be done tomorrow morning as well. And there won't be anything that stops us unless the building falls down or the internet crashes overnight. And then also today I discovered, and I don't know whether it's a fluke or whether it actually happens, because today's been one of those days. I'll tell you a little story before we go to, so you know what kind of day it's been. But when I drew it onto this one, I looked at it and I couldn't really see whether the glue had worked. So I drew it again. And because the tip of the glue pen is metal, it's created like a tram line effect. So you get a different feel of foiling. If I put this one next to this one, you'll be able to see a little bit clearer. That's more solid. And this looks like it's been etched. So I'm going to do a video for both of those tomorrow morning and put that up to as an extra special treat. So please forgive me for not continuing with that little holly sprig, but I promise you it will be worth it, because again, it's using your scanner, it's using the drawing function, and it's teaching you something. Just to let you know what kind of day it's been, because it's not funny at all, but it will just sum up today. Our lovely Andrew drives up from Peterborough to Derbyshire, parks his car in the car park next to mine this morning at, 8 o'clock, Andrew? 8:30. It's a completely level car park. Our head of graphics, Jess, is coming in late because she's been out the night before and she's allowed to come in late. So she pulls up on the car park at 1 o'clock, parks behind Andrew, but probably 20 feet away from him. And then she comes in while Andrew is filming another class and says, "Where's Andrew?" I said, "He's filming." "What time does he finish?" I said, 1 o'clock. Why? She went, "Because his car has just rolled across the car park and crashed into mine." It's a completely flat car park and his car's been parked there for 4.5 hours. That's the kind of day it's been at Highlight Crafts today. So please forgive me. I really, really wanted to show you and prove to you that whatever you can do on an SDX in some form or another, including the holly sprig that I'm going to teach you tomorrow, you can create the same thing with the CM and Canvas workspace, because that is so important to me, because I do not ever want people to think that they are being left behind and they've wasted the money, because that's not what I'm about. So code MEL30 will give you 30% off today. Your Brother accessories, not including the SDX machine, I'm afraid, and the 12x12 cardstock that I've used in this class, which is the Craftmaster. That finishes Thursday night at midnight UK time, but the discount will continue with a Black Friday code that you will also find on the website or be emailed. So sign up to the email list. It's just a discount for Black Friday. So there's no rush, you don't have to, but you can get it early if you want to, which is great. I would like to say a massive thank you to each and every one of you. Ellen, please remember that your craft room is immaculate compared to mine, and also we will sort that link out for you for the Minecraft Studio class, because we don't want anybody missing out. And if any of you ever have any issues like that, please let us know, because we can make it happen, okay? Have a lovely rest of the evening. I'm going to go and sit in a dark room and rock backwards a little bit and forwards, because I've had one of those days. And I will see you next month. Now, I think we have a date, Andrew, do we, for the next one? Oh, it's on his phone. I am finishing for Christmas on the 16th of December. And I'm not coming back to work till the 4th of January, because I haven't had any time off yet this year. And I've got lots of holidays. And I'm going home to see my lovely family, who I haven't seen for a few weeks. So we're doing it earlier in December, 14th of December, Wednesday the 14th of December, same time. So it will be 7 till 8 for CM ScanNCut users. And there might be mince pies and maybe a sherry involved, who knows, but we'll come up with something really cool for you that class. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you very soon. Take care, lots of love, bye.